This is Alan Peck. Jay Ward's radio career began in the summer of 1965 as a studio engineer at WRR. He learned many areas of the business, including equipment installation and maintenance, and even spent time dubbing commercials to CART and doing other production. In December of 1965, while a senior in high school, WRR FM program director Eddie Hill asked if Jay might be interested in announcing on the classical station. Of course, he did. He spent 5 years with WRR, but eventually found his niche in news reporting and anchoring. In 1970, Jay moved to WFAA Radio and anchored the morning edition. In 1971, he won the Dallas Press Club's Katie for Best Radio Newscast for the morning after a major riot in the Dallas County Jail. In 1972, KFJZ and the Texas State Network called, anchoring and reporting for both entities. He did graphics, photography, writing to the station's Dallas Cowboys network ads, and the monthly TSN newsletter. After a short stint in 1974 as news director of KDNT in Denton, Jay got a call from Chet Maxwell at KBOX in Dallas to come do morning news with Peck and Penny. And Jay won his second Katie Award in 1978 for Best Spot News Story Radio for his coverage of the ATO fire at SMU. In 1980, he took over producing 4 public affairs programs each week. KBOX morphed into KMEZ AM and FM, and Jay continued writing the newscasts and doing public affairs programming. In 1984, he was named managing editor and remained until 1989 when KMEZ became KJMZ Jams. Lucky for him, when radio ran out, Jay began his second career in law enforcement, where he happily protected and served until retiring in 2010. Join me in congratulating my friend Jay Ward, a 2015 inductee in the Texas Radio Hall of Fame.
Gosh, thank you, Alan. It was 50 years ago this summer that I first got into the radio business, but I had known since I was a young child. I said, oh, that's going to be fun, and it was. I have to tell you, it was fun from day one until I turned the lights out in my office in 1989 and walked out the door. The list of people you thank for a 50-year radio career is far too long for this luncheon, but I have to say a shout-out to the guy who brought me to KBOX in 1974. And that would be the best general manager in the business, and that's Chester Maxwell. And all I can say is Chet and Dusty and Alan and Penny, circle's complete. We are together. KBOX was a magical place to work. It was a family, and I mean that in the strictest sense of the word. It's been since 1974 that I went to work there, and yet Penny and Chet and Alan and Dusty Black and Tom Allen and all the people that I worked with, we're still friends to this day. I just wonder what it would have been like if we'd had Facebook. And we could have gotten in trouble a lot easier. And cell phones. You know, I carried a little Sony recorder around with me in a briefcase. That's what we did. And anybody in the news business in here knows that. And I marvel at what it is today. And I will tell you, I miss the business, although I am peripherally involved with a friend of mine that has an internet radio station. And he does a show on Friday nights, and we have a lot of fun. I just will wrap up and say to all of you who voted for me, I look at that picture, we were young. What happened? Oh my goodness. One story I will tell you. Radio gave me a lot of things, but it also gave me a family. And I was telling this story last night to a couple of people that in 1968, the late Paxton Mills was a friend of mine, and he worked at KLIF, and we decided to have lunch. We go down, it's one day in July, we go to lunch, we come back to the station, we're up in the second floor in a kind of a lunchroom, multi-purpose room. And this little pixie walks in the room, and she grabbed a hold of me. I can't explain it. So she left the room, and I turned to Paxton, and I said, Pax, who was that? He said, oh, that's Linda Myrick. She's our sales secretary. Oh, okay. She's seeing any? No. Okay. I call her. We went out. Turns out I knew her dad. Her dad was vice president at my bank. Long story short, we married that November. We have 2 wonderful boys, both grown, and we just celebrated our 47th wedding anniversary. So, Chet, Alan, Penny, Dusty, you'll understand when I say, above all, she is the one that I have to say thank you. And to you, thank you very much.